All right, well, Mr. and Mrs. Roper, we are super appreciative that you guys were able to make it today. I'm Sutton Grigsby. I'm a sophomore here. I'm a pre-vet major on the rodeo team, and I'm a team roper. This is my head coach, Jake Walker. And we'd love to ask you guys some questions about your experiences at Connors and just some life advice. So to start it off, what years did you guys attend Connors State?
I started in 67 to 69.
Yes, ma'am.
I was here in 82 and 83.
No, 72.
Yes, 72, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, getting ahead of myself.
And going to Connors State, did you guys have a plan set out that you guys were looking to do afterwards, or what your majors were?
Well, I was always going to teach school.
Mm-hmm.
I did teach school for 10 years, and then I quit.
How about you, sir?
Well, we had a plan. Betty's not telling all of it, I can tell you that right now. But we had both rodeoed, and which, you know, our parents and everybody, you have to have an education. And so Betty's nice plan was go to college, get your education, get your diploma, and then if you want to go on and take off from rodeo, do it, because you've always got it. And that's exactly what we did. Yeah. When I graduated, though, from Northeastern, went to Connors first, and I was telling you this a while ago, that when I graduated, it was the next day, my phone went to ringing. I had a PE major and an elementary major and a PE minor. And at that time, there wasn't very many men that was in elementary. They wasn't. And so, and I didn't realize that, but the next day, my phone was ringing. And I turned down, I don't remember, 2 or 3 really good jobs at schools that was a little further away, up around Tulsa, offered me a superintendent's or principal's job with just the certificate that I had. And I explained to them, they said, that's our problem. We'll take care of that if I can get you up here, you know, and we'll let you go to school, you know, and work it out at night. And I said, no, I really don't want to do that. Well, Shakota called me, and I knew everybody down there. And the gentleman that had called me, Avalee Marshall, he was the principal at the grade school, and I've known him ever since I was a little bitty boy. And he was interested in hiring me. And I said, well, we're really not wanting to commit ourselves right now and you know, do this. I need a little bit of a break. And he said, well, you think about it. And so he said, well, I tell you what, why don't you just come down and to the superintendent's office and we'll all talk about it. So we get down there and we're visiting and talking, and he's telling me what, you know, they're wanting me to do and everything. And I said, I'll tell you what. And Betty was working. Was you at Oakdale then? Mm-hmm. I said, I'll tell you what. If you would hire my wife here with me, where we both drive back and forth together, I said, it's a done deal. I'm telling you, that superintendent stood up and he shook my hand. He said, bring her on. She'll have a job. He called me in one day and he said, Jimmy, he said, I don't know if you'd like this or not, but he said, we're going to have to go to a full-time PE teacher. Would you like to do it? I said, just as fast as I can. And he said, you know, I didn't see very many principals, superintendents the way it was. And he said, this way, you'll never see one of us if you don't want to. Yeah. I said, let's have it. Let's do it. And I'm telling y'all, I had the best 6-7 years of my life, but there was a kick to it. I had PE from kindergarten through the 4th grade all day long. 100 students at a time. Wow. 100 students at a time, because there's 4 classes of 25. Yeah, I look back at it, and for students, people coming to school, that was one of the best times of my life. And I loved those kids. I had no trouble, discipline trouble, even with the fourth graders having 100 of them at a time. I never had any discipline problems. I just, first to school, told them the way it's going to be. Cross that line, you'll pay, you're going to pay for it one way or the other. And I had to spank one kid one time, and I let everybody watch.
Yeah.
And from that time on, boom. I mean, I could have a principal, superintendent come to one of the gymnasiums, and we was in there, and we was doing whatever we did that day, and I could blow the whistle one time, and I'll guarantee you, boom, you could hear a mouse walk across that floor. They was all super nice. But anyway, I still see them all the time. Go to Walmart. There's a black boy there that gathers those grocery carts. I mean, he sees me pull in. It's, hey, Mr. Roper, come over and give me a big old hug, a big sucker. And I mean, and one of the cashiers in there, the ladies that works in there in the banks, I've had them all in school, and it makes it nice. Makes it so nice. But yes, I missed them for a long time, and I still miss them at times. But I've had to take the kindergartners, some of the little kids, starting of school, one in this arm, carry them on my hip, a week, 2 weeks, till they got used to everything, then it's okay. And they all remember it. They remember it, and their parents remember it. Sure. But everything went really nice, and I enjoyed it. But what happened was, I would have fulfilled everything and stayed there. In fact, the year that I told Mr. Marshall that I would not be back the next year, they had already scheduled it and planned it because he was retiring, and for me to step in and be the grade school principal. And I said, I wish you'd told me 2 months ago. I said, we've already made plans, and Betty and I did. We decided to take a roll at it and just go rodeoing and do what we wanted to and fulfill our dreams, and we did. Sure can.
Tell us a little bit, looking back, tell us a little bit about the environment, the class size, and what you enjoyed about your time here at Connor State. Use some specifics. Was there, you've made some comments about how we really play a role in people's lives and education.
Oh, yeah.
Do you recall any Connor's instructors that you enjoyed or thought a lot of in those days?
Yes, I do.
I don't even remember going to,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I remember 2 or 3 of my professors down here. Like I said, Dr. Best, he was a super nice guy, and I had a lady, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I had her for an art class, and she was she'd go out of her way to make your day right, and it wasn't just me, it was the whole class. And talking about the class sizes, I don't never remember having a huge class down here. The classes was really neat. It was all on first name basis. Everybody knew everybody and knew anything about them, stuff. I do remember in some of my PE classes, Clarence Lynch, over to the gymnasium. He and I, we knew each other from high school basketball, and we were friends. One day he approached me and he asked me, he said, would you be willing to help me with our PE classes? And I said, well, what do you mean, help you? And he said, well, there's going to be times that I have to step out and do certain things. I'd like for somebody to be here that could take control. I said, sure. Well, we got along really good. You always have 1 or 2 people in there, especially one in some of your classes, that wants to be the clown of the class. Right. Well, the boy that I was telling you about a while ago in our radio class, he was in that class with me, and I had to really keep an eye on him. But anyway, Mr. Lynch one morning, he came in there and he said, hey, Jimmy, and I said, yes. He said, would you take care of things for me? He said, I've got to run, I don't know, over here for something. He said, I might be gone most of the class. I said, that's fine. And so what were we doing that? We was on trampolines that day. We were doing the trampolines. And so he no more than gets out the door, and I look down there, and this one boy we're speaking of, where you're not allowed to do this either, he was seeing if he could touch the top of the ceiling, bouncing off that trampoline, you know. I mean, one mistake, and you're going to break a leg or something. Anyway, I go down there and hollered at him and told him, you know, not to do that. And he said, I'm not going to hurt anything, blah, blah, blah. He said, I'm almost there, let me try. I just walked over and jerked that trampoline out while he was in the air, you know. I let him come down and hit that floor. Boys, let me tell you, it was like, it wasn't pretty at all.
Yeah.
Oh, he got up moaning and groaning, which he didn't hurt himself. But I will say this, from that day on, if I asked him to do something or told him, it was done, you know. But just little things like that you remember, you know, people doing things. You know, this campus has really grown, and it's changing, I know, constantly. I remember when this was all the boys' dorm. Never had to stay in it, but I knew a lot of boys that did. And now then, is it just kind of like an administrative building or office building?
Yes, pretty much. They recently have renovated this floor here, and I think there's future plans to kind of overhaul the rest of it. But in this building right now, we've got the foundation office. And in one wing, we've got a museum on the far north side. We had a donor that felt led to give and want to see something, and it's kind of the history preserved for Connor State, so that's on the other end. And then on this side that we're in, we've got the Vice President of Student Affairs, and then the Dean of Students is in this end. So you're, to your point, a lot of administrative offices.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Well, tell us a little bit. You'd said you guys kind of had made a plan and wanted to pursue your goals and to get outside of the education business, but to get in, I guess you'd say, the private sector and train horses and chase the rodeo. Tell us a little bit about that, just some of those initial goals, and then how you were able to accomplish a lot of those goals.
Well, we what it amounted to was that, like in the early '80s, we started going to a lot of fraternities, and that was that's what we did then.
That's where the money was at.
Right.
And then
Barrel horse futurities.
Huh?
Barrel horse futurities.
And then we kind of get to a point where we had a really good horse and we rodeo for a year, you know, and we went to the IPRA rodeos a lot. I won that several times, and then we went in '87. I had a lady that said, "I want you to make the PRC the rodeo finals," you know. I said, "Okay," because I had this really good horse of hers. So we just took off for a year and went to made the finals. And then I gave him back to her, and then she eventually sold him. But
What was that horse's name?
Jet on for pay.
And what was he bred like?
Those are my next questions.
I don't know.
Don't remember?
No.
Yeah, he on his daddy's side, he was Jet's Payday.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a Jet's Payday horse. You know, and it's odd too, because this lady lived down by Fort Worth. We had her, and she brought the horse up there, and the horse was so little. But you start them, you know, as 3-year-olds.
Right.
I thought that sucker's too little to be a good, you know. And I didn't know it at the time, but her and her husband was going through a divorce, and I didn't know it until 6 or 8 months later. And she said, "Jimmy, you could have bought that horse when I brought him to your house that day." I said, "Yeah, you didn't say anything to me about it." That little horse, he ended up winning. I can't remember on his fraternities. He won a lot. But when he was a Derby horse as a 4-year-old, you didn't outrun him.
Right.
I don't care who you was. You didn't outrun we called him JP. You did not outrun him. I've seen guys come in there, and I mean, we went from, you know, Las Vegas to those big fraternities, to the Northeast, all fraternities. If they had a fraternity, we was there with those horses. And we had a mare that was belonged to Chris and Khaki Libert from Fort Worth down there, Argyle. And this mare, in fact, Chris roped on her after we got through with her and sent her home. He told me one day, he said, "I broke more calves' legs and necks with that mare than any horse ever been on my life." This mare could stop so hard. And he rode him at the NFR that next year, and I think he told me he broke 2 calf legs out there. I mean, she could be running 9-0, and when he did that, she could lock her up, be going backwards, and she just, now then they pitch that slack to the inside. But anyway, we had her and what was the other horse's name that Linda sent us, the buckskin mare? But anyway, we had 2 of these mares, and between them that year, if one of them did win first, the other one did. Next week, back and forth, and they was some nice. Betty made some really nice horses out of them, all of them. They was good, won lots of money, Back then, I mean, and like Betty went in Fort Smith, how many times?
3.
3 times, I mean, that's just, people want to win it 1 time. Betty's won it 3 times. In fact, I've heard them say down there, Betty Roper's the one that built this Coliseum down here,
Yeah.
But they've got her pictures in those offices lined up around in there, and it's a pretty neat deal. I had the first time she won it was on Jay, Poco J. Apple was the little horse's name. He come out of Kansas, and I was going down the highway one day, driving just a mile north of my house, and I saw this lady working this horse out in the pasture. And I knew this lady, and I knew that she didn't ride real good. And anyway, I went on by and kept looking, come back by, and she was still jacking around with it. Boy, he's a nice looking little horse, nice looking. And I get home and I'm telling Betty about it. And I said, Betty, your friend Verna Jean's up there riding a nice looking horse. And I said, she's messing. And I didn't realize that the horse was a 3-year-old then. And so we're talking about it. Well, it wasn't the next morning. It was that afternoon. Verna Jean came by the house and she's fussing. She didn't like young horses. And I'm sitting there listening to her. And when she said that, I said, Verna Jean, I got a nice age gelding out here that you might really be interested in. We might do some trading. Well, you don't even know what I've got. I said, I'm not even going to worry about it. She didn't know I saw it. But to make a long story short, we done some trading, and we took this little horse, and I forgot how much money Jay won. But he was one of those kinds that you could step up on him. At rodeos, Betty could haze for me. I mean, we done everything on him. I did everything but bulldog on him. Never did have to bulldog on him. But there was rodeos during the performance. We'd haze 10 head of steers on him. Betty changed saddles to go win the barrel race on him.
Wow.
And yeah, he was that kind. And just not going to hit a barrel. Just not going to hit a barrel. But the thing about it is when you ride and handle 100 head of horses a year, you're going to get that little group of that. You can pick them out immediately. And people you deal with, they have these horses, and the good horses will come to you. Talking about the Wells, Jerry called us one night, and he said, hey, I've got a mare that's running at Salisaw. And he said, this mare can fly, but she can't run on the track. I said, what are you talking about? She can't run on the track. And he said, she'll leave them gates ahead of everything, gets to the grandstand, she just lets her up and goes to looking, lets everything pass her. He said, I put too much money in her. I want y'all to train her as a barrel horse, 3-year-old, bring her on. Well, I'm riding her the first day or two there. You could be loping around nice, quiet. She was a Bugs Alive in 75. And you could be riding her around, and all at once she'd take her head and look to the sky. She'd see a buzzard that was so high you're not supposed to see it, and she could see them. And she'd see stuff like that. And then all at once, I don't remember, it wasn't very long, maybe we'd ridden her for 30, 45 days, boom. I mean, the light came on, she tended to business. Another horse Betty won Fort Smith on her. And anyway, she won a lot on her, a lot of the futurities on her. But like I say, the more horses you handle, you're gonna cull a lot of horses. But them good ones, when you crawl on them, you know what they are, their potential are. They real quick. Yes, so, but we've had so much success with the futurity horses, and we futurity for several years. Of because like I say, that's where the money was at. We kind of put the rodeo behind us. We knew what we could do. We knew what we'd won, and we was after that money. You know, when you jump out there and you're winning $200,000 or $300,000 a year, and you get to keep all of it, not counting all the saddles and all that. We went to one fraternity in Ohio one time during this same time. I think it was on JP. Did he win the four-wheeler up there? Anyway, whatever horses we had up there, we get up there, and most fraternities give saddles and stuff. We get up there, and this guy, he said he wanted to do something different. He gave a big Honda four-wheeler. We won it. Yeah, he won it. I thought, how am I going to get this sucker home? Huh? I had a 6-horse trailer with me, and luckily I only had 5 horses.
There you are.
And I got, they took a backhoe or something and turned that thing up this way, and we got about 8 men. We picked this thing up and walked it in the trailer, tied it up where it was out of the way, and I had that stud stall in front and let the flap down. We came to Otawa with that thing in there like that. Yeah, we did.
It's been a few years. We've had you guys come over and talk to our girls different times over the years, and we hadn't done it in a few years. But to that point, Miss Betty, talk to us a little bit about what kind of work ethic does it take, to be successful and to be in the horse business. And a lot of folks, they like to turn on the Cowboy Channel and they like to look at stuff and they like to see winners out there getting acknowledged, but sometimes they don't think about all the things that have to be done behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, you got to get up early in the morning.
Right.
And go to work, and
Can't be
it's an
scared
all-day
of it.
thing. Yeah.
Right.
And especially horses, phrase that I've kind of used, and I'm sure I stole it from somebody else, but it takes a long time to make a horse. And you've mentioned a couple that you had as young horses, fraternity horses, and you were getting them going, and you got some success out of them, but they had that foundation. They were good horses, but they had that, and they were able to perform for many, many years.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that seems like folks get a little too quick on. They don't spend the time to invest in them. I saw a little snippet the other day and I'm sure it was Facebook or something, but it talked about the length of time to just kind of get one started, and the length of time to get one kind of going your way, and then to season one. Whoever had put this out, they said to really season one might be 10 years better. And it's just, again, it's hard for folks to keep focused for the long run.
Yeah.
So
Our youngest granddaughter, she's 14. She loves to breakaway.
Right.
And we have a 2-year-old there, and she's really taken up with this 2-year-old. And so she started taking her time with him, swings a rope, does everything really nice. And I have to go down there and pull the dummy for her to rope. And so we talked the other day about it, and I told her, I said, you take your time. When you get through, she says, come on, Papa, one more time. I said, no. I've been there and done that. No. I can tell when one's had enough, they're to their point. And I said, that's what you have to learn to accept. Yeah, you want to do more and more and more, but I can look back and see good horses that people blew up, and I said, it's not worth it. And so I said, you score your horse, you work him, you keep him quiet, backing him up in the box, in the corner, letting him relax, don't pull him in there, just little bitty things. And I said, then the next step we're going to do, we're going to start popping that gate as I pull the dummy and get him used to that noise.
Yes,
then
sir.
I said, the next thing, we'll start putting the barrier up in front of him, Her eyes are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but she's got to realize this and learn it. I said, we do it right. I said, time he's a 4-year-old, you'll have you a good son of a gun. Because listen, boy, she can go down there and she can rope that dummy, and when she pops that slack, this little blue sucker can get in the ground, and he's walking backwards with her. He's just a natural at it. And I said,
sir.
don't blow him up. Don't do it. I said, it takes too long to get it out of him, so they have to learn. But yeah, you're right. A good horse takes so many years, and here's the kicker on that. I don't care if it's you or me or whoever, you spend 2 or 3 good hard years on a horse, and I said, and you are ready to sell that horse, and you put a number on him, people look at you like you're crazy. They don't realize that you've got 3 or 4 years tied up in that horse, and the time and money. It's
Yes,
worth a
sir.
lot. I had a little bulldogging horse one time. The Combs was there at Chakota. They wanted this horse so bad. Every evening they was at our house, back pulled up there, sitting there in this car, just like this. They'd watch him every day. Never say a word, but I knew they wanted him. Finally, one day, Willard said, son, he'd say, how much you gonna want for that horse? I said, Willard, he's not for sale. Yeah, he's for sale. How much? Well, this man offered me, he tried to bet one of Betty's little mares at about the same time. This is the truth, people. He offered me there's 100 acres on the east side of him where he did live. Right. He offered me 100 acres for that horse.
I'll be done.
Yeah, and this was when I was about 16, 17 years old.
Wow.
And that, that's acres, that's not money. And
Yes.
this guy at that time,
I wasn't thinking about that.
No, I like this horse. No. And my daddy looked at me like I was crazy. And they left. Next week, they was there 3 or 4 days of the week, and he said, okay, you're not going to swap me this land for this horse? No, sir, I'm not. Well, he said, I tell you what, I'm going one more step. He said, I'm going to put 50 good black cows on that 100 acres. Wow. And he said, those cows and that land is yours. I'll have it deeded to you. I said, thank you, but no. No.
Did he ever run this by you?
I know.
This is before you all got together.
Yes. And I would not sell him that horse.
Yeah.
I would not trade him that horse. You want to be honest with people. You don't want to go up to your rodeo coach and said, hey, I can't be there at this rodeo this week. I have got to go do, certain things, and then you duck off somewhere and go do something else. Let me tell you, he's going to find out about it, and he ain't going to like it. But if you just go to him, tell him what's going on, let them know, and if they work with you, fine, and if they don't, there'll be another rodeo tomorrow. Always be another rodeo.
Always, that is
Always,
true.
that's the deal right there. Like I said, you get your education first, it comes first, and once you get it, you can go to all the rodeos that you want to. Somebody says something, pull that certificate out and say, look here what I got. I got something to fall back on. That's what you want. You always want something, because you never know when you're going to get hurt. Never know that. I mean, things have happened to us in our lives, and you know as well as I do, when you mess with livestock, accident is just around the corner.
Unpredictable.
You can be the toughest, I don't care who you are, you can be the toughest deal. Just like Jaco, our grandson, he was rocking and rolling. He's going to make the finals again this year, and boom, all at once, one of them big stout suckers, just freak deal, broke his tailbone. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that ended it for this year, 2 months now. Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. You never know. You never know. But like I say, when you've got that college education, it's something to fall back on always. It's good for you.
Well,
Yes, sir.
unfortunately, we're getting short on time, but we would like to say thank you for coming and spending the afternoon and sharing with us. Thank you for what you've been dedicated to doing and all of your endeavors that are still yet to come. So please don't be strangers here over at Connor State College. So thank you very much.
You're more than welcome.